The narrative around transcendent athletes often follows a familiar, noisy cycle: hype, validation, scrutiny, and a relentless search for the next thing. We reach into the past, dusting off archival footage and prophetic quotes, constructing a mythology to explain the present. But with Caitlyn Clark, that entire exercise feels superfluous, almost quaint. Her career hasn't been a series of explosive, headline-grabbing chapters so much as it has been one long, uninterrupted, silent film. A reel that never stops rolling, its footage captured not under the glare of game day lights but in the hushed, pre-dawn emptiness of countless gyms. This isn't a player who performs dedication, she is constituted by it. The imagery is almost archetypal: rain lashing the windows, snow blanketing the ground, the digital clock reading 6:00 a.m. on a random Tuesday. For most, these are conditions for a cancelled plan, an extra hour of sleep. For Clark, they are simply the unremarkable backdrop for another session. Birthday, holiday, it's irrelevant. Basketball isn't at the top of her priority list, it is the substrate of her identity. This constancy is her baseline, her neurological wiring. So when the world reacts with shock or fervent admiration at a social media clip of her back in the gym, especially now, a cemented star in the WNBA, it reflects more on our expectations than her behavior. The work isn't impressive because it's exceptional, it's impressive because it is, for her, utterly normal. It is the standard. But within that relentless standard, subtle, seismic shifts can occur. The real conversation, the one that signals a pivot point in a career, isn't about the fact of the training. It's buried in the details, the who, the how, and the environment of that work. Recently, a single change has rippled through the ecosystem of her preparation: the involvement of trainer Dozier, and the concomitant shift away from a more controlled, individual-focused setup. This move is a tremor that foreshadows an earthquake. To the casual observer, it's just another name in a caption. To those who understand the anatomy of professional development, it represents a fundamental philosophical upgrade, a shift from rehearsal to war game. The myth of player development, particularly in the social media age, is often centered on the spectacle of the drill. We see meticulously edited clips of dizzying ball-handling sequences, hundreds of swished threes, and gravity-defying finishes. The assumption follows: the trainer who devises the most complex, aesthetically pleasing regimen holds the key. This is a profound misunderstanding. The truth is disarmingly simple. Every trainer, from the celebrity skill coach to the instructor at the local YMCA, runs essentially the same drills. A catch-and-shoot workout is a catch-and-shoot workout. One person rebounds, one person passes, the shooter catches and shoots. The variables off the dribble, off movement from different angles, are universal currency. What separates the elite developer from the average, what truly catalyzes growth at the highest level, is not the clipboard of exercises. It is the environmental pressure and the quality of resistance they can orchestrate. This is the invisible, invaluable separator. On the men's side, particularly in the NBA offseason, this is an open secret. Players are flown across the country not just to work with a famous trainer, but to work against a curated group of competitors. High-level Division I athletes, overseas pros, fringe NBA G League players fighting for their professional lives. These individuals are not there to be props or spectators. Their role is brutally simple: provide authentic, unrelenting physical resistance. No cone defense, no courtesy closeouts, no rehearsed slides. Just real, gritty, intelligent defensive pressure. The purpose is to move practice from the realm of mechanics into the realm of cognition under duress. The ultimate goal isn't to make open shots; any professional can do that in their sleep. The goal is to make the correct read, create a sliver of space, and execute a finish when someone of comparable size, strength, and athleticism is actively trying to prevent it. It's about simulating the chaos of a game: the bumps, the altered angles, the contested sightlines, the split-second decisions between pulling up, passing, or driving against a loaded defense. This is where skill transforms into applicable skill. This environment forces a player to solve problems on the fly, to adapt when plan A is stripped away, to develop a plan B, C, and D that live in their muscle memory. This is the critical lens through which to view Caitlyn Clark's new training reality. Observe the setup now. It's not just Clark and a coach. It's Clark, Dozier, and a group of other players on the floor. This logistical shift is a philosophical earthquake. It means someone is rebounding with intent, someone is passing under simulated game pressure, and most crucially, someone is actually defending. This allows for 2-on-2 and 3-on-3 actions. It turns a static shooting drill into a dynamic, game-based repetition. You can run her off screens with a defender in chase. You can force her to use a ball screen against a hard hedge or a switch. You can simulate the blow-by scenario where the help defender rotates, demanding a pass or a contested finish with the offhand. Contrast this with the previous paradigm, which largely featured Clark working with Keith Porter or within team contexts led by figures like Stephanie White. That work had undeniable value, particularly for rhythm, conditioning, and systemic understanding. But it was, by its nature, more controlled. It was a symphony rehearsal. What Dozier appears to be facilitating is the jazz improvisation session, the same fundamental notes, but now with other skilled musicians challenging her in real time, introducing dissonance she must resolve. Furthermore, Dozier himself represents a different archetype. He's not a social media-centric skills trainer trading in viral clips. His background is rooted in the NBA and G League ecosystems. He understands the rhythm, physicality, and intellectual demands of a professional environment from the inside out. He operates with a pro's understanding of spacing, pace, contact reads, and the nuanced language of the game. Simply being embedded within the Indiana Pacers facility, breathing that air, absorbing those standards, sharing space with players whose entire existence is built around solving NBA-level problems, reshapes a player's lens. It elevates their internal clock, their understanding of efficiency, and their perception of what is open. This shift addresses the most pressing need in Clark's evolution at the professional level. Her foundational skill, the otherworldly shooting range and confidence, is a finished product. It requires maintenance, not overhaul. The frontier of her development lies elsewhere, in the micro-decisions that separate very good scorers from unstoppable offensive systems. In her rookie WNBA season, despite historic production, tendencies were identified and exploited. Defenders, bigger, stronger, and faster on average than in college, began sitting relentlessly on her left-to-right crossover, forcing her right. They bumped her early in her driving motion, disrupting her rhythm before it could build. They made her uncomfortable, knowing that even if she scored, they could increase the physical and mental tax required. An honest assessment of her offseason work a year ago, based purely on available footage, showed a focus that perhaps mirrored these comfort zones. There were fewer reps finishing with the left hand through contact. The off-the-dribble work often stayed on her preferred side. This wasn't a criticism, it was an observation of emphasis. And those areas of emphasis were directly tested by elite WNBA defenses. The game, at its highest level, is a relentless audit of your weaknesses. Now the training environment seems designed to conduct that audit privately in-house, so that by the time the public exam comes, the answers are already rewritten. When a defender in a workout is tasked with genuinely guarding her, cutting off driving lanes, physically contesting shots without fouling, making every catch a struggle, the growth curve steepens. Clean, unopposed reps build confidence, but they can also ingrain a false sense of space. Pressure reveals truth. It forces the development of counters, the step back going right, the hesitation drive left, the floater over a rotating big, the snap pass to the corner when the help commits. This leads inextricably to the physical metamorphosis that has accompanied her career. Last season, Clark visibly added significant muscle mass. The transformation became a talking point, crystallized in casual photos away from the court. The advantages were immediate. She could better absorb the constant physicality of the league, hold her ground on drives, and finish through contact that would have derailed her a year prior. She was no longer easily bumped off her line. However, physiology is a system of trade-offs. That added mass while providing armor also altered her kinetic chain. Her movement lost a degree of its Iwera fluidity. The iconic flowing shooting motion required more deliberate effort. Her mobility and first-step explosiveness seemed slightly muted. The game required more grinding, more fighting. Then came the injury, an unavoidable part of pushing a body into new physical territory. There's no drama in this. It is the simple cause and effect of high-stakes athletics. This current offseason reveals a new, refined equilibrium. Clark appears to have leaned back out, finding a sweet spot between strength and fluidity. She's not the slender college phenom, nor is she the densely muscled rookie adapting to a new level of violence. She has synthesized the two, the sturdy frame to withstand punishment, now paired with restored lightness on her feet, quicker lateral movement, and that familiar, smooth packing. Her game can breathe again. The balance between power and poetry is being recalibrated. This physical and strategic evolution occurs within a broader league context. Last season served as a stark lesson for the WNBA itself. When a player of Clark's cultural and commercial magnitude is sidelined, the entire ecosystem feels the tremor. Viewership discussions become tinged with concern. The narrative shifts from spectacular play to physical peril. The league's guardians are undoubtedly engaged in behind-the-scenes calculus about protecting their stars while maintaining competitive integrity. A more consistent whistle, a sharper focus on dangerous play. These are not accommodations, but necessities for a league whose growth is tied to the health and visibility of its brightest talents. What emerges from observing Clark's current trajectory is a portrait of an athlete not preparing to survive the league, but to dissect it. She's training to think the game at a higher velocity, and this is where the potential for a true leap resides. When Caitlyn Clark is physically fluid, mentally unburdened by the sheer shock of combat, and hyper-focused on solving sophisticated defensive puzzles, she becomes a different kind of force. This is the version that doesn't just score, she dictates. She bends the geometry of the floor. Defenses are forced to make choices against a full arsenal rather than simply loading up against a known tendency. A driving lane that was once clogged might now open because her defender fears the pull-up three going right. A help defender who once committed freely might now hesitate, creating a passing lane she is more than capable of exploiting. The timing of this shift is its own strategic masterstroke. This work is happening in the offseason, in the quiet, before the league has fully systematized its defensive approach to Year 2 Caitlyn. Most players react. They see a problem manifest on film during the season and then spend the next summer addressing it. The truly great ones are proactive. They anticipate the next layer of defense, the next evolutionary counter, and they develop the solutions before the questions are even widely asked. This is preparation as a form of silent warfare. By the time opponents arrive with new schemes designed to stop last year's version, they will be facing a player who has already moved 2 steps ahead. This is the essence of how chapters turn in a legend's career. It is rarely announced with a press conference or a viral campaign. It happens in the grunt work of mundane gym sessions, in the choice of a new training partner, in the embrace of discomfort. It is the quiet calibration of edges in the dark. The narrative around Caitlyn Clark will always center on the logo threes, the audacious passes, the record-breaking numbers, but those are merely the visible emissions of a hidden reactor. The real story, the silent film, is playing out right now in a Pacers facility with a new cast of characters providing real resistance, pushing her to refine not just her game, but her very understanding of what is possible within it. When that work translates, the leap won't be a minor statistical bump. It will be a shift in the tenor of the game itself. It will be seen in the frustrated adjustments of opposing coaches, in the widened eyes of defenders who thought they had to answer, in the effortless command that makes the extraordinary look routine. By the time the mainstream narrative catches up to this shift, the work, the thousands of words of effort written in sweat and film study, will already be complete. The silent film will have reached its next reel, and the audience will simply be watching, awestruck, as the plot they thought they knew takes a breathtaking, inevitable turn. This is the ascent from star to sovereign, and it begins as it always does, not with a roar but with the soft, steady sound of a basketball echoing in an empty gym at dawn.